Hello, my name is Brianna Buford, and I will be discussing the prevalence of MERS-CoV among persons in Saudi Arabia, more specifically, the introduction and the extent of the problem. I, along with a few other of my colleagues, detected a disease. The disease is called MERS-CoV. Middle East Respiratory Syndrome, MERS, is an illness caused by a virus, more specifically a coronavirus called Middle East Respiratory Syndrome coronavirus. Coronaviruses are a large family of viruses that can cause diseases ranging from the common cold to severe acute respiratory syndrome. Most MERS patients develop severe acute respiratory illnesses with symptoms of fever, cough, and shortness of breath. Since the diseases are so severe, 3 to 4 out of every patients reported with MERS have died. Now, to move on to the extent of the problem. Health officials first reported the disease in Saudi Arabia in September 2012, but through retrospective investigations, health officials later identified that the first known cases of MERS occurred in Jordan in April 2012. So far, all cases of MERS have been linked through travel to or residence in countries in and near the Arabian Peninsula. The largest known outbreak of MERS outside of the Arabian Peninsula occurred in the Republic of Korea in 2015, which was spread through a traveler returning from the Arabian Peninsula. This concludes the report of the introduction and the extent of the problem.
Hello, my name is Michelle Edison, and I'm going to be discussing the agent of disease, signs and symptoms, and modes of transmission for MERS-CoV. MERS-CoV is caused by a coronavirus, or a single-stranded RNA virus that belongs in the Coronaviridae family. This virus can cause various other diseases, from mild illnesses like the common cold, to severe acute respiratory syndrome, also known as SARS. The virus gets its name for the crown-like spikes on their surface, as you can see on the picture on the top right corner. The picture on the bottom shows the human coronavirus viewed under an electron microscope. MERS-CoV affects the respiratory system. Those who've contracted the MERS-CoV virus are reported to experience a wide range of symptoms, ranging from mild respiratory illnesses like sneezing and sore throats, to severe acute respiratory illnesses with symptoms of fever, cough, and shortness of breath. In some cases, individuals infected with the MERS-CoV virus can also experience gastrointestinal symptoms like diarrhea, nausea, and vomiting. If the illness is left untreated, severe complications can occur, which include pneumonia and kidney failure. The incubation period, which is defined as the time between when a person is infected with the virus and when they start to have symptoms, is 5 to 6 days. MERS-CoV, like all the other coronaviruses, are spread through respiratory secretions from sneezing and coughing, making it airborne. Droplets of the virus travel in the air and into the nasal cavity of the host through the nasal mucosa. Once the virus enters the nasal cavity, it replicates itself in the cells of the ciliated epithelium, causing cell damage and inflammation. Although most cases of MERS-CoV are linked from human-to-human contact, there are several cases where humans have also contracted the virus through contact with camels. This figure shows how the MERS-CoV infection can spread. As you can see, human interaction with camels can cause severe disease, which is shown in red. The infected person can then infect those in the community and hospitals, which will in turn cause widespread infection amongst a population. This figure also demonstrates that those who are classified as subclinical, or when infection may not meet a previously defined clinical threshold of signs and symptoms, can also spread the disease amongst the population through close contacts. Human-to-human spread of infection is regularly caused by poorly facilitated healthcare settings.
Hi everybody, I am Hương Nguyễn. In this part, I present three parts. The first is the mechanism used to control MERS-CoV. The second is the health risk factors that increase the vulnerability. The third is the environmental factors that increase the vulnerability. Mechanism used to control. Prophylactic measures to prevent the MERS-CoV from extending over the wide-reaching area depend on knowledge of the risk of contamination, including the possibility of the MERS-CoV infection for an infected person, caregivers, and the family members of the infected. The application of comprehensive infection control strategy is based on the three levels: primary, secondary, and tertiary prevention. Primary prevention: wearing a face mask and not sharing the home tools when contacting or living with an infected person. Washing hands with a soap regularly. People should avoid drinking raw camel meat or eating meat that has not been properly cooked. Secondary prevention: if infected with MERS-CoV, do not go to the public areas such as school, market, or the park. Do not share the bedroom or the bathroom with other people in the family. Avoid close contact with any person. And tertiary prevention: resting and seeking medical attention if necessary. Health risk factors that increase the vulnerability. Some people are more vulnerable than others and have a higher risk of being infected with MERS-CoV. The World Health Organization considers certain groups to be at high risk for severe MERS include sub-occupations such as camel herder, abattoir workers, shopper, or dromedary owners are more vulnerable to MERS-CoV than others. Health workers caring for MERS-CoV patients, people with diabetes, renal failure, or chronic lung disease. Human-to-human transmission: the virus does not appear to pass easily from a person to a person unless there is a close contact, such as providing unprotected care for an infected patient. Environmental factors that increase vulnerability. Geographic areas. The Middle East respiratory syndrome coronavirus is most of infections are concentrated in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, where the virus was first discovered. The other infected areas are located in the Middle East, Europe, North Africa, and Asia. Cultural: the looming Hajj season, when many millions of Muslims travel to Saudi Arabia, puts the issues of containing the coronavirus at the central stage. Saudi Arabia is one of the most infected places, and millions of people travel there for cultural practices. This puts the millions of people to travel there at risk and more vulnerable to MERS-CoV. Occupation: some occupations such as the camel herder, abattoir workers, shepherds, or dromedary owners are more vulnerable to the MERS-CoV than others. As previously discussed, MERS-CoV is transmissible to human contact. Those who have contracted the virus and are being nursed by healthcare professionals put others at risk.
Hello, my name is Kimberly Vu, and I will be describing the temporal variation and the gaps in knowledge about MERS-CoV. Temporal variation is defined as a variant that is a function of time. The Occupational Safety and Health Administration have concluded that MERS-CoV is a seasonal disease mainly occurring between the months of April and June. However, there are also many cases that are sporadically reported throughout the year as well. Endemic is defined as a disease or condition regularly found among particular people or in a certain area. In this case, MERS-CoV is considered to be heavily endemic in dromedary camel populations of East Africa and the Middle East. The two figures shown showcases in more detail about the seasonal trends. The figure on the left showcases the seasonal variation in the occurrence of MERS-CoV cases in Saudi Arabia. It is the distribution of cases on seasons by months of onset infection. It indicates that more cases occur in the spring, with 36% of the cases. On the figure to your right, it also displays the distribution of cases by seasons of onset. This figure demonstrates that most of the cases were infected in spring, which indicate that the spreading of MERS-CoV differs and is associated to season. Next, I will be talking about the gaps in knowledge. Although several studies have shown the possible links between human cases of MERS-CoV and transmission from camels, much is still unknown of the origins, geographical distribution, exact mode of transmission, and relationships between MERS-CoV and MERS-CoV-like infections in bats, camels, other animals, and human beings. As a result, the lack of knowledge has hindered the development of vaccines and treatment.
Hello, my name is Marin Chitong, and I'm here to discuss further areas of research as well as our conclusion. Suggested areas for further research. Since much is still unknown about MERS-CoV, there's currently no vaccine or treatment available. Although we have learned only a fraction of what this disease is, epidemiologists still need to study it enough to develop a cure, as well as different methods of preventative care, like creating a vaccine for this virus in case of an outbreak. We need to dedicate more funds to conduct this research. So I found this case study, and it states, if it's a Middle East virus, why is it exploding all the way in Korea? It all started with one man. On the 20th of May, 2015, the Republic of Korea notified WHO of the first laboratory-confirmed case of MERS-CoV. Basically, this man had traveled to the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, where he contracted the virus and went back home. So the second case was his wife, the third was his hospital roommate, and the fourth was the daughter of the roommate. The fifth was a healthcare professional who treated the first patient, and so on. So as you can see, this virus is definitely a human-to-human contact virus. Down below are some statistics of how many people have contracted the virus. So in conclusion, MERS-CoV is a threat to global health. Epidemiologists have found its origin in Saudi Arabia, and since many travelers are going in and out of the country, this increases the risk of contracting MERS-CoV. Like we said before, it is spread through human-to-human contact and camels. Should an outbreak occur, we need to be prepared. This means studying and researching all that we can about the virus to obtain and develop a vaccine to prevent the virus, or even better, a cure. Thank you so much for listening, and here are our references.